meetings were determined every one of its 930 pupils were going to get in on the act. To ensure it, a competition was run. Any pupil who entered 10 events, including cast of stone, stack racing and knock 'em down, became instantly eligible for a special prize. The strategy worked, and that's when the fun began. Careless costuming and natural high spirits of the students, however, showed the competition may not have been all that necessary.
What do you think of your school?
That's great. Better school than any other I've ever been to.
Today was the first of 2 days of activity that included netball, junior soccer grand final, orienteering, baseball, pony club activities at Hillsborough, a swimming carnival at West Walls End, bowls at 5 of the city's greens, sailing events in sailboard, centreboards and keelboat divisions at different parts of the lake, and on-land athletics. But tomorrow promises to be even busier, as Recreation Officer Peter Jackson explained.
We've got the triathlon. There's about 80 entries. There's a lot of individual entries. That's a 1 kilometre swim, the 28 kilometre bike ride and the 9 kilometre run.
That's the men from the boys?
It certainly will. Very popular. A lot of fathers and sons actually going in it this year, which is excellent. You're only racing yourself. Then we've got the tennis. We've got the bowls finals at Warners Bay, and this year we had 5 bowling clubs involved in that. We have got the golf at Waratah Golf Club, and some 30 clubs have sent their top juniors towards that tournament tomorrow. Then we've got the cycling, criterium races in Spears Point Park. We've got the archery at Macquarie Field. All in all, it'll be a really big day.
It's estimated that $100,000 will be needed to send the 44-member group to Switzerland for 2 weeks in July next year. The $5,000 is a good start, but the band members, ranging in age from 11 to 19, don't intend to rely just on handouts. Fundraising activities planned. Band Secretary Mrs. Dora Sim says planning for the trip has been going on for some time.
In 1975, we took our brass band over to compete in the British Youth Championships and were invited to do a concert tour of Switzerland on the way home. And I've bothered to keep in touch with these people ever since, and we've had several invitations to go across to their music festivals, but I didn't think it warranted going to the public for the amount of money that would be needed just for a festival. But when the United Nations made it a competition for bands and musical groups, I did investigate because I felt that we would like to represent Australia in an important contest such as this. Executive branches, or TENS as they're known in the Rechabite Society, from all over New South Wales were welcomed to Newcastle by the Deputy Lord Mayor today. The Rechabites are celebrating their centenary with guests from England, the High Chief Ruler Mr Arthur Coleman and the High Secretary Mr Douglas Carr. Alderman Don Geddes pointed out the social problems caused by alcohol and concluded by asking members of the Newcastle TENS to become involved in the soon-to-be-established Drug Crisis Centre. The High Secretary of the English Order says the society began in the 19th century as a welfare organisation.
18th century, 2 great movements started almost at once. The Friendly Society movement, which is a working class movement to enable ordinary working men to provide for themselves at times of distress and of debt and in sickness, and the temperance movement. And so they came together, these 2 great movements, and the Rechabites really embodied both of these movements, the temperance movement and the Friendly Society movement,
The government has taken over quite a bit of the social welfare work. What do you see as your role now?
So we still provide mutual benefits to our members. Sickness benefits, death benefits, life insurance. We give the members aid in distressed circumstances, in old age, and to young people too. So we've got quite a role in the society of supporting the welfare state. We're sort of a second string to the welfare state.
Many things were discussed by the 100 or so administrators from senior, club and junior levels, referees and other interested parties. But no decisions were reached, and that was the design of the forum. Things got heated at times as opinions expressed were many and varied. Such things as grades to be played in the future, refereeing numbers, which are at a crisis point, fixture allocation and club spending were the main topics. The next meeting, though, could be more lively, as muffled threats were made by some delegates in regard to media coverage and promotion of the game. It's been a common complaint over recent years that too much accent has been placed on leagues from other areas, rather than the local product. The unevenness of the local competition was seen by many as the game's greatest ill. No workable cure, though, came to light.
The land bordered by Leicester Parade, Sunset Boulevard and Crompton Street is owned by the council. Recently, the alderman inspected the land to assess its suitability as a housing subdivision. At a public meeting last night, the residents decided to ask the council to have the area dedicated as parkland, with Alderman John Tate to give a notice of motion to that effect at the next council meeting. Resident Mr. Monty McLaughlin says the area should be a park.
There isn't enough parkland in the area, and the residents feel that we could have a much better area for everybody if the area was developed as parkland.
Do you think the council will come to the party with this issue?
I'm sure they will.
Yes, John, the old Malibu, the original boards that we rode 20 years ago, the 40 pound upwards, must be original shape, original. The modern now is similar to the old boards, but it's manufactured lightweight materials, new designs, multi-fins and so forth. That board's over 8 foot.
I suppose a lot of the nostalgia is attached to the old Malibu. Newcastle has seen plenty of those.
Yes, for sure. Over the years, we've seen a lot of this type of competition. The early days, 1964, at Newcastle, we used to have very big competitions, and this one will be the biggest yet seen in Newcastle.
And how popular are the old original Malibus with the guys who did ride them in those days?
Now, they're starting to get back, pulling them out under their sheds, dusting them down, and they're starting to appear on the beach more and more.
Is this weekend aimed at competition, or is it really also a very social occasion?
It's a very social occasion. It's a chance to meet other riders from interstate, people that we haven't seen for 20 years that are still around on the beaches. We enjoy the socialising very much.
Do you guys still think that perhaps the old days were the best with the big boards?
Well, I'd be silly if I didn't say that, for sure. But what we enjoy is to see the guys that haven't surfed for 15 years coming back out and getting on the modern males and enjoying it.
Flying enthusiasts who appear of aircraft like the Sea Fury fighter is apparently undying. Even this morning, just the rumours that the Sea Fury was on the strip was enough for a former aircraft to interrupt a holiday trip for a brief glimpse, and a chance to hear the distinctive sound of Fury's 18-cylinder radial engine. The constancy wished to spend small fortunes getting the old warbird back in the area. Sea Fury is owned by Mackay earth-moving contractor Ted Allen. The The aircraft originally belonged to the Iraqi Air Force, was bought by a Californian collector, and then restored in Darwin. Scone Airport itself is headquarters for some of the most ambitious aircraft rebuilding projects in Australia. Crop duster Cold Pay already has a Mustang P40, recently acquired an American Harvard trainer, and is well on the way to totally restoring one of the few Mark 8 Spitfires left in the world. These aircraft will be joined on Sunday by a Mitchell bomber, a Fairey Firefly, and perennial old-timers like the Tiger Moth. The RAAF will put its current fighter, the Mirage, through its paces above the Scone field, but it seems that it's the old-timers that stamp this particular air show as exceptional.
My primary goal at the moment because, as you know, I've got most of the other goals achievable in rugby league, playing for Australia and Queensland, New South Wales, so that's my target, and when I get that I'll be absolutely wrapped.
On paper, Manly must have been one of the strongest teams this season. What went wrong?
Well, it's hard to say. We had an up and down season. I don't think we convincingly played 80 minutes all the way through the year. We had a couple of very good wins, but I don't think we had the application towards the game that we should have. And when it comes to finals, if you haven't got application, you don't win games.
Many commentators have blamed coach Bob Fulton for this season's performance. How do you respond to that?
It's very hard to put the blame on one person. It's 13 players out on the field. We're the ones that lost the match, not Bob Fulton, so you can't say that.
Alderman Alan Fields, representing Belmont North, was elected Deputy Mayor by a majority of 1 vote. With 3 aldermen absent, 7 voted for Alderman Fields and 6 for Alderman Gordon Hughes. Alderman Fields is Deputy Mayor for the next 12 months and takes over the position from Alderman Keith Edwards, representing Teralba.
How do you feel about your new position?
Very, very happy.
Is there anything new you'll be bringing to the job?
No, there's nothing new. I haven't thought of anything this time. I've got a big job to follow Alderman Edwards. Alderman Edwards did a terrific job as Deputy Mayor, and I've got to fill in to follow the footsteps of him.
At a stop-work meeting yesterday afternoon, employees resolved to report to the Labor Council today with a 6-part resolution to deal with the superannuation changes. According to the President of the Salary Division of the Hunter District Water Boards Employees Association, Mr Lance Woods, employees are dissatisfied with the superannuation changes announced last week and to be phased in by July next year. Mr Woods said the new scheme bears little relation to the package that had been negotiated between the state government and the Combined Public Services Association during the last 4 years.
They'll affect the Hunter District Water Board employees that are contributors to the state superannuation scheme the same as they'll affect every other public servant in the state, and that is that they'll reduce the overall remuneration package of entitlement to the age of retirement for every public servant in the state.
Why do you think the state government has decided to change the existing scheme?
It's a cost factor involved in it, and the government's changing the existing scheme, and they're not being very truthful about both sides of the argument.
I am worried about the effect on investors, perhaps business people's confidence in Newcastle. We've got a very solid and sound industry base, and we have built up a lot of confidence in the community and in the outside investors. But of course things like this always have an effect.
What advice would you give to investors in the wake of the sacking?
We have very wide industrial base here. We're still expanding, and there's no doubt in the world that we will progress in the years to come.
The Newcastle City Council was yesterday dismissed and an administrator appointed to take over its immediate running. Local Government Minister Kevin Stewart said the council was preoccupied with personalities, intent on matching insult with insult and allegation with allegation. These allegations were responsible for 2 local government inquiries, both of which led to the minister's announcement yesterday. The administrator, Mr Colin Saunders, was until last Thursday the administrator at the Marrickville Council, which was dismissed in 1982. Former Deputy Mayor Mr Don Geddes said he was shocked by yesterday's dismissals. He claimed it was politically motivated because the Labor Party did not want a non-Labor dominated council in Newcastle.
I think they've been cheated because the council has in fact functioned in a way that has put decisions through. There have been times when the council have created problems for themselves, but not sufficient for them to be sacked.
Cyclists wearing bright-coloured t-shirts and safety helmets each rode from home to Burwood Park this morning. A large group gathered at Waltham and travelled into the city using the east-west cycle route. The largest single group was 38 students from Lambton High. Veteran bike rider 79-year-old Ray Williams from Stockton was there, the oldest cyclist to take part. Radio 2NC's Jeff Moore broadcast his morning radio show live from the park. Also, the riders enjoyed a breakfast provided by the Newcastle Cycleways movement. Spokesman for the movement, John Matheson, was elated with the response.
We believe that there's something over 250 people arrived here today, and we were elated with the response. We thought it was excellent.
You see it becoming an annual event?
Yes, I think Bike Week we're starting this year, and it will be an annual event, and I think it'll go on to greater things in the coming years.
Bike Week in Newcastle culminates this Saturday with the arrival of the large field of riders in the Commonwealth Bank Cycling Classic from Brisbane to Sydney. But today was Commuters Day, and I'll be back at work in just a moment. Murray? These youths are members of an out-of-workers course organised through the Newcastle and Charlestown Technical Colleges by the Commonwealth Employment Service. 4 days a week for at least half of each day, they are set to practical tasks like the building of these retaining walls at Stockton Public School. While it benefits the school, which needn't pay for professional contractors to do the work, it also benefits the youth. They receive this valuable training as part of a gardening and home maintenance course, and also receive an extra $6 a week on top of their unemployment benefits. The academic side of the 3-month course includes mathematics, business management skills, and communication skills. While participants receive no formal qualifications from the course, the hope is that employers will be impressed by their initiative and the skills they have learned.